Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome to 2026. Happy New Year to you all. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. My Christmas was magical, in all honesty. It was lovely. It was actually a little bit more relaxed than some years have been. It's been lovely, chilled, spent lots of time with my family and friends. And then, unfortunately, it did go a little bit downhill and I was captured, is that the right word? Caught by the lurgy that seems to be going around everywhere. Still got a little bit of the remnants of it now, but thankfully today was probably the first day that I have properly woken up and I'm like, oh, I feel more normal. My throat is still a little bit tender. So I try not to cough too much on camera as much as I can. I'm conscious that I haven't been putting much out there throughout December. I'll be honest, I did film a couple of videos, but I just felt like they were almost filming for filming's sake and not really doing or saying very much. And then I didn't end up really getting around to editing them like that. This one I have wanted to do because we're starting the year by taking a look back, and obviously 2025 for me was a super special year. I really wanted to start this with this one just before I'm about to put her out, because she is the one that has shaped and made the majority of my 2025, and I am just feeling super grateful as I've been thinking about this vlog over the last few days, and I've had it in my head that I've wanted to do it for a little while, but I just am feeling super, I don't know whether it's pregnancy hormones or something, I don't know, but just feeling a little bit emotional and very grateful and thankful to have her come into my life and to make my dreams come through and take my head off, basically. No, and make my dreams come true. So we are going to look back at our eventing year. Oh, Addie just says, I'm just going to have a quick bum scratch, but you're going to break the bar, so can we not do it on that, please? We've got a wooden post that's concreted in the ground, that would be a lot better. So we're going to have a little look back. So, as I say, I just wanted to start it with her, to thank her. Not that she's worried about me thanking her. Horses, reality, they say never work with animals. You're funny. I mean, obviously a lot else has happened in the year, and that's where I feel like maybe I have been a little bit reserved, probably so much in the second half of the season, eventing season, and I just feel like this is now my opportunity that I can be completely open, transparent, and not that I didn't want to be transparent at the time, but obviously with things that happen, it was a bit personal for me to share with things going on that I couldn't. Sorry, now I'm struggling to get my words out, but I just feel like now I can be completely open about it, maybe explain some feelings, some things where things didn't quite happen or why some things were so disappointing and blah 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 blah, but I can get into all of that as we go through each event. But I'm going to get these ponies out. They're going to go out in the field because I am a little bit late down here because we did see in the new year last night. I thought I would be fast asleep, but no, we saw it. We watched the fireworks on the TV in London. First new year for a little while that I've probably seen it sober, which sounds really, really bad. But whilst I am just getting these ponies out into their field, I want to introduce to you who I am partnering up with for today's video. It is dinner time in our household and I'm super excited to be partnering up with Green Chef for today's video, which I think is very, very fitting for this time of year. Now, if you are, like I say, going into the new year, you've got goals, aims, aspirations of wanting to be a healthier version of you, maybe wanting to start to be a little bit more active, maybe going to the gym is quite a common theme for this time of year. But don't forget that we need to fuel our bodies, be eating healthy. So it starts within us. What you fuel your body with will give you the motivation and the energy to be able to go and gain those goals and aspirations that you may have. And why not have the help of Green Chef do that for you? I'll be honest, I have not been feeling 100%. I've actually not been very well at all, but this has now arrived on my doorstep and I'm like, I haven't actually been fueling my body, but today's meal is, and I'm excited to get that into me and hopefully fill me full of goodness and get me hopefully back on track and back to 100% health. Of course, I've got to also be very conscious about what I am eating whilst growing said baby. It's trying to find that balance for Chris and I. Like, I always try and aim for like protein, good protein. And Chris has started up his running training. He's actually, I think, just about to get out of an ice bath. Crazy man in January. But he needs to be fueling his body as well. So with the help of Green Chef, they have got 8 dietary preferences that you can sort of choose from. So whether you are fibre focused, you're high protein, low carb, calorie conscious, whatever your goals are when it perhaps comes to your food, Green Chef have come up with really easy and also fun and varied healthy meals with the help of their registered nutritionist. There's nothing worse than you think of like healthy foods and you just think salads and all of that, and it doesn't need to be plain and boring. Like, you can have these wonderful meals like I have got right here in front of me. So let's just give you some inspiration. So here I have got their best ever pulled beef chili con carne with one of my personal favourites, cauliflower rice, which has also got some chorizo in there, and then we've got a tomato salsa and also some Greek feta just sprinkled over the top. I will do a little close up for you to go over the top of this, but and that has got 54.7 grams of protein per serving, which is amazing. And then you get these sheets. I've shown them before, I'm sure you've seen them. That it's got the step-by-step guide on how to cook it. And then also we have got is West African inspired chicken curry with chili roasted broccoli. That is also what I'm loving about these, is that they have got their greens on them. You can see the greens there on the plate, which is also something that I need to be conscious of because I have just had blood tests come back to say that I am anemic. So need to get those greens in me, as well as red meats, like our beef that we have got tonight. And then I've also got the lamb shepherd's pie, and that was the third one. So just feel like kickstart, get that health back into me. And of course, if you guys would like the help of Green Chef recipes to kickstart your 2026, I of course have got a discount code for you guys as well, which is EMD40. It will be here on screen, or you can simply tap the link down in the description, which will take you straight there. Pick your recipes and we'll have the discount applied. The discount will get you 40% off your first box, followed by 25% off your next 4 boxes. So lots of savings to be had. I will be honest that Green Chef is probably one of the higher price margins compared to the others, but that is because you are getting such premium quality ingredients that are all weighed out, measured out, all come packaged ready for you just to cook. You don't need to be measuring anything up or wasting anything. It is all you need to make said meal. It will arrive on your doorstep. So it is convenient, as I say, making healthy eating not so boring, doesn't need to be boring, and is fueling your body for whatever goals and aims and aspirations you may have. And I'm going to go away and tuck into this. But just before I go and you carry on with our 2025 review of our eventing season, I would love to know, have you guys made any New Year's resolutions or any aims that you want to achieve in 2026? I would love to know. So please do share and pop them down in the comment section for me below. Now, as I just said, when I was with Addie, of feeling like super grateful and all of that, I have found myself a lot I find myself quite a lot all throughout the year, to be honest with you, but something that I really feel kick-started 2025, and it's not eventing related, but it is obviously related to horses, is the most magical experience that I had out with Horizon Horseback. Honestly, pinch me moment. I still can't quite believe that it ever even happened. It feels like it was a dream, and it was just no words. I think there's a couple of things that happened in 2025 that I feel words can't justify it enough. And that experience, that couple of weeks, was most definitely one of them. And as I say, I just feel, because I knew that badminton prep was sort of going to need to kick off and we're going to be doing lots of training, traveling, it was just like a bit refreshing to go and do something completely out of the norm, and actually something that I may never get to have that experience ever again. It was just incredible, and I cannot thank the whole team at Horizon Horseback enough for that experience. It was, as I say, just incredible. As I say, words don't do it justice, but I still see, like, obviously all of their stories come up, and I'm like, I can't believe I actually got to do that. And as I say, I just feel that really kick-started 2025 off to the best possible way, and I'm just so grateful to have had the opportunity to go out there with my best friends and to witness and see the things that I've seen, and all whilst through the ears of a horse. It was truly magical. My real own Lion King experience, and I just loved every single second of it. I feel like that was a proper cherry on top of how to start a new year. So if you've been umming and ahhing about going out and having one of those experiences, whether in South Africa or going across and then into Botswana, do it. Do not hold back. Do it. Sense of adventure and almost like the achievement of doing it. I know that sounds crazy, but it was just phenomenal, and I absolutely loved every single second. As I say, I would be back in a heartbeat. And I just loved that you think you're going out like each day and you're sort of seeing, I want to say, the same surroundings, but nature is never the same from one day, from 1 second, minute, hour to the next. And that's what I absolutely loved. You never knew what you were going to come across, what you were going to see, and you're just at one with your horse, with your friends, and it was just utterly incredible. I am not very good with words. I know that people can put that into a lot better words than what I probably just have, but honestly, it was just so good, and I just felt like, even though it's not eventing, I really needed to mention it, because that was a huge thing in my 2025 horsey year, so felt like I needed to start with that. I'm really wishing I had brought mics down, but it is a quiet, still morning, so hopefully you can hear me all okay, whilst I just muck out Addie's stable. So our eventing season kicked off in quite a familiar venue, I would have thought, to my channel, because it is sort of where, if we're on it and able to get out there, we were very fortunate at the beginning of the season. Wasn't load of abandonments because of the weather. It was actually quite a dry spring, and we started it at Moreton. Now, obviously, like I said, 2025 was a huge year for us, and that was because we had qualified for badminton. So we had been on it with the winter prep, we had been to camp, we had having our lessons, and obviously I was keen to squeeze in those runs before going. I don't know if you can remember, and I feel like I've still got the calendar up on my wall, which I'm a bit sad is going to be coming down. Obviously it's going to be replaced for 2026, but it's going to look a little bit different than this year's, which, yeah, like I say, just makes me feel a little bit like, oh. But something I am so proud of myself and Addie as well is that we went straight out at 100, which I don't believe I have ever done I don't even think in my Sprite days I went out straight at 100. I'd always have my comfy slippers at 90 and go out just to get one run under. But because I knew that runs were limited, I knew that we had done the prep, I was like, no, we're going straight out at 100. So we had a 29.5 dressage, which first event out getting a sub 30 was pretty nice. I do think it was quite a kind marking section, not a kind marking section, but it was just a lower marking section, should I say. So it didn't put us in sort of any great stead like that. We did then go clear in show jumping, which as this vlog will go on, you'll realise we didn't actually have that many clears in show jumping. That lives on, but just silly little mistakes really throughout the season of different poles and stuff like that. But I know that that's our area that is, no, not our area, that's Emily's weaker area, which we've all got them, so I can't dwell on that. That is just what it is, and I will continue to work on it when I'm able to. But then we had a epic clear cross country, and I think we were a little bit slow. I think just getting back into the gear of cross country riding and riding out on grass again. Obviously we've gone out at 100, so it was 100 speed straight off. Lana, this is not helpful. But we had a great first run, and I can remember thinking like, couldn't have asked for it to go any better. It was exactly what we wanted. We had our double clear, sub 30, and all time faults, and I think we ended up around 15th in our section. Like I said, really, really good, positive start. And that was what I wanted from all of the runs. I wasn't wanting every run to be perfect before Badminton. I wanted to iron out any of those kinks that you have, and going and doing your first event, all the travel, all the prep, doing all 3 phases in one day, that sort of thing. Yes, of course, for that individual competition, it would have been nice to have done maybe better in the positioning, but for what I wanted out of that event, that was exactly what we needed. Then for our second event, we headed to Oxstalls, which was a new venue for me. I had never been there before. Now at Moreton, we're obviously show jumping on a surface, so this was now onto grass show jumping, which gives a whole nother level, I want to say complexity, but just a whole different vibe, and one much more like what Badminton would be like, with a bit more undulation in the ground, and actually the arena was slightly on a slope. I don't think there's many places, maybe I can only think of Bicton, that the show jumping, if it's on grass, is actually nice, but to be honest, a lot of the show jumping now that happens at Bicton is also on a surface. If you look at the score sheets, like on paper, we actually had the exact same dressage score that we had at Moreton, 29.5, so another sub 30. But to me, the test at Oxstalls felt so much more improved. Like, I think you always have, when it's your first event, that excitement's running high, adrenaline, nerves for the horses as well as ourselves. So it was nice to go back out quite in quick concession, just to sort of go, no, remember, this is what we do. We go eventing, you do the 3 phases, you're on grass now. And she was just so much more rideable throughout the test. It was really, really nice, and I can remember it being, yeah, such a lovely, and then actually when you look at the marks in relation to others, then it was a little bit more of a higher marking section. So it's really important, I think, when you do, and this is quite good actually when you look back, but when you get like your mark on the day, is not think, oh my goodness, we've gone so much worse than we did last time, or we've done so much better but it felt worse. You've got to do it in relation to each individual competition for how the judge is marking that day, because they all do look for different things. At the end of the day, it's personal to that judge, and it is very, I know myself, I find it very easy to be like, oh, that felt so much better, but yet my mark is still just the same as what it was last time. But actually, yeah, you've got to take it for what you feel as well. Sorry, I hope that makes some sort of sense. Then show jumping, we did have one pesky pole, which was a shame. It was on a related distance uphill. We just went a little bit flat. I think I pushed a little bit too much and didn't get her to weight maybe as much as I should have. But otherwise, we had gone through all the one-strided doubles and she had jumped them all clear, and that is something that we had been sort of really working on, and something that was, to be honest, the whole build up to badminton was probably my little nemesis. One-strided doubles, just because Addie can sometimes not jump through the double and then leaves that distance very, very short or very long for herself, so then she has to chip in, and then that's when we get a pole down within a double. And then we had, again, a fantastic clear across country, and I can remember walking it. There was lots of different sort of jumps, like going through the water. You had to go through two different ponds, and a bit of a drop fence, and like jumping a almighty big hedge, like stone hedge. Yeah, and just again was so proud of her. She absolutely saved my bacon. Now that I said about that, there was like a corner combination where I just don't think she was quite concentrating. I think there was something going on in the road, and I didn't quite have her, and it was like 1 or 2 strides out, and I was like, Addie, we got to jump, and then she was just like, oh yeah, okay, and then just lifted, and then we had a B element, and she just sorted herself out. So yeah, true little cross-country machine. But that was a very good day, lovely venue that I will most definitely be returning to again, 100%. And I actually, that was somewhere, I'll get onto that later in the vlog, but they hold a 105, so if anybody is wanting to step up that little bit, smidgen more, from 100 to maybe not quite ready for novice, do check out Oxstalls, because I do know that they hold a 105 quite regularly, and that will be something that I would like to say, and I'm going to say now, is where I would like to try and aim to get to at some point throughout this year. When that will be, I do not know. I almost wish that, not that I've got any regrets, because I feel like it's what builds you, so you shouldn't have regrets. It's what happens, but that is something of one of my aims, like I say, that I would like to get back there. Knowing what the course is like, how the lay of the land is. So yeah, that will be on an aim, but just in case anybody else is out there and you're sort of planning your season and you think, oh, maybe I would like to step up and things are going well, then be sure to check out Oxstalls when that is on the Bicton calendar. I know that it is out. It came out just before Christmas, and it feels very weird that I'm like not analysing it and being like, oh, I can get there, get here, or anything like that for like early on. That again feels a little bit strange to me. Then we headed to Larkhill, which, in all honesty, this is gonna, I don't know how else to word this, wasn't our best event pre-Badminton, but was one that I do believe, now I look back in hindsight, is actually what you need. You need things to all sort of unravel a little bit, and actually we still had another event to go. And again, like I say, probably at the time I'm like, oh my goodness, everything's falling apart, how are we ever going to be ready for badminton, blah blah blah. But actually you need to have those mistakes and those things happen. So out of the 4 prep runs that we had, I would say Larkhill was our bad one. Just, yeah, silly things, tension getting in there. Like her dressage was going beautifully, and then I believe she broke in a canter, which really upset her, because she knows when she's made a mistake, and she knew. So it then spoiled the remainder of the test because she was just so tense. And that was something that kind of like you need to work through. You need to figure out, how can I get her to go from, yes, being tense, throw away the mark in that movement, but then get her back sort of on side. And that's what I mean. I actually think it was a good thing in the end. Then the show jumping, which I didn't really know, if, in all honesty, but until now, like after speaking, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's very windy at Larkhill, so that doesn't always help. But you've also got the show jumping. Now I thought Oxstalls was on a bit of a slope, Larkhill was on a slope, and it was built big. And we did, unfortunately. So one of them was an Oxer on the downhill. Again, I spoke to Alex. I can remember telling him sort of the profile of the fence, and he had been there riding, so he knew which one I was on about, and it was all because of the way that I had thought about approaching. So that is all just building on experience and learning about the different jumps and on the different hills of when you want to have takeoff, and it being like an Oxer. And then our nemesis, as I mentioned, the one-strided double, we just went far too up over the first part, left ourselves so short, and then I got in her way essentially for the second part. So again, it's all learning, but we then went out on cross country, which was a little bit of a rush to get to cross country. It's quite a walk down to that start box, and they were calling my name like I needed to go, so I literally only jumped a few jumps. And then out the start box we went, and the cross country I describe as, I want to say true cross country, but I don't know if that will make sense either. I'm saying a lot of things that probably don't really make sense, but you had everything sort of in there with like utilising the terrain, and it was in it's in a big circle. You had like a step up, and it was quite big, up on a mound, and it was just all those little things that I actually thought were really good. I was really pleased with all the venues that I picked actually for my badminton prep runs, because each venue was different, which I know that they all are, but they all had different elements in them for you to like sort of work on different things. Like I say, the show jumping at Larkhill, and also like the cross country, all the courses were very different. And yeah, as I say, I was just very pleased with each venue that I did pick. And don't get me wrong, I was very lucky that the 4 that I had picked all ran, because we had a good spring. Despite the hiccups that we had like in the dressage and the show jumping that day, cross country, again, I just could not fault. She was absolutely mega, and that is something throughout 2025. All I suppose I do remember the most is just how epic it is being sat behind her ears when you are going across cross country, and I absolutely love it, and that is something I cannot wait to get back doing again. So our final prep run for Badminton was at Calmsden. Now I had been there as groom for Tina before, but never had ridden there myself, so I kind of knew how the layout of everything worked. For our final event, probably would have wanted it to go a little bit better, in all honesty, and I feel like when I'm saying this, I'm saying that for the first 2 phases. So we had a 33 dressage, and then we had 2 poles in the show jumping, which was a shame. I think it was the last one, which is always really frustrating. Either the first or last is always frustrating. And then again, one-strided double, I believe it was, because she had spooked a little bit, I believe, at the first element, like a bit of a fillery thing. So it just knocked us off, and again, just didn't quite make that distance. I think, I haven't actually watched this back yet, but you will see the footage over the top. And dressage, I think I thought at the time that it was a good test, but the judge just obviously didn't like what they saw, which is, again, absolutely fine. Perhaps just a little bit of tension. Maybe I knew that it was our final event, so it was perhaps sometimes you can over try, and sometimes with horses that doesn't always work, especially with a mare. And then cross country, again, she was absolutely mega and bombed around clear and inside the time. That was where she had gotten, there was like Calmsden, I would say, if you've got a bit of a nappy horse, can be quite tricky because you are coming back towards sort of home, the show, like where the lorries are parked, the show jumping. Thankfully, Addie, touch wood, isn't really a nappy horse like that, especially when it's like cross country and we get going, but she can be a little bit funny sometimes to get to the start box, almost like that apprehension that we're going, but like once I say no we're going, I've now learnt, and I think that is something throughout the season I've learned, is actually I need to get over to there when there is only 10 seconds to go, not hanging around for 2 minutes, because it just wiles her up and then we're going backwards away from it. I need to get over there and go, essentially. And that is definitely, like I say, something I have learned throughout the season more. I think as she's getting older and she's done more now, she's got more experience, she knows what's coming. Because once you say, like, foot pedal go, she's like, okay, and we're gone. She was awesome around it, jumped everything really, really well. Can't remember anything, sort of any major blips. Again, they had different kind of fences going on, like going down into like quite a dark dip, to sort of a ditch to come back out into light. Like that's quite an ass, like going light to dark so quickly. But she was her usual mega self. And gave us another really good, confident cross-country run. And I can remember thinking like, oh, this is our, like, the next start box that we leave is going to be Badminton. Then on to the big B, Badminton. And I felt like I really needed to sit down to talk about this one because, oh my goodness, what an experience. It's been a dream of mine. You guys will know that for a very long time, ever since I got Sprite there in, oh my goodness, now I can't think of the year, 2017 I think it was. I obviously never completed it with Sprite and always wanted to get back there and complete it, and Addie ticked all of those boxes, those dream boxes, true for me. And to be honest, I actually felt that the build up, like that final week, was probably the most stressful, I'll be honest. Thinking about making sure that we've got everything, doing those final little preparations, not that you were going to be able to change anything, but making sure that, yeah, we were as ready as we could be, but we were ultimately. And I do remember thinking like a week before, like if Badminton was tomorrow, we can go. We are good to go. Which is a lovely position to be in, but just that pressure I put on myself. I know that I do it. I will always do it. And I suppose that pressure, I just got a little bit overwhelmed. So that was, I can remember sending a message to Nikki at Be Your Best Yet. She is an empowerment coach. I have talked about her many times on my channel. She's been on my channel as well, actually. And she really helped just sort of ground me a little bit, to be honest, and make me look at sort of what was important, how I can channel those emotions and feelings and focus them onto sort of the job in hand. But I do feel that when I actually arrived at Badminton, got Addie in her stable, I was then like, we're here now, and almost felt I relaxed more. Yes, of course, you're never going to get rid of those nervous butterflies. They're always going to be there. But I honestly can say that I enjoyed riding each and every phase at Badminton. Like, once we went down the centre line, I was like, we're here. We're going down the centre line towards the judge. Smile and enjoy. And I really did. I enjoyed our dressage. She was a good girl. We held it all together. We kept our canters across the diagonal because that was something that I had been obsessing about, that we weren't going to hold them. And it was, yeah, it was great. It was I had an army of people around me, and I just felt, again, so grateful and so supported and so loved from all my close friends and family coming up, my brother, my mum and dad, all being there, who have always been part of sort of my equestrian journey ever since I was little. So to have them there with me, that was really, really special. And then also having so many of you guys there as well, and being inundated with videos and messages and comments and everything afterwards, like, it really did feel proper special, and I cannot thank everybody enough for making that feel so special. Show jumping, we did unfortunately remain with that one pesky pole. So our dressage, I believe, was 31.8, which I was really chuffed with. Obviously you're doing a 20x60 test, the championship test, you've got 2 judges, and we actually scored the same from both judges, which doesn't always happen. You usually have one higher or lower, but we actually scored the same from both judges consistently, which I actually find quite nice. And then show jumping, as I said, we had that one pesky pole, the penultimate fence, which was a shame. She had jumped really well. We had gone through the one strided double and kept both of them up. We had gone down that long side where there was lots of people, and I have Cam to thank massively for keeping me calm before going in that show jumping, actually, and before the dressage, because I was getting so, again, fixated on that I couldn't get our walk steps. And it's funny what the things that you do remember like that, but he came in, got me focusing on something else, and then set me off. And then, as I say, I went down the centre line and was like, no, get all behind us now, let's just ride what we've got in front of us, and really enjoyed it. And show jumping, we obviously had the little bit of a hiccup where Addie got loose from the box and had a little bit of a warm-up lap around the lorry park, which, in all honesty, I feel like stressed everybody else out, but I was like, it's fine, there's nothing we can do about it. They all ran off. As I say, I had an army around me, which was phenomenal, and they all ran off to go get her, and I was like, oh, the bridle's still here. So I remember getting the bridle, and then I think it was Tina and I that managed to catch her, get the bridle on, and I just got straight on and went over to the warm-up. So kind of like just diffused it straight away. We gave her a bit of time just to chill, just like away from the box, and then got over. And then again, Addie is very much like, give her a job to do and she like can focus on that, whereas sometimes if you're sort of, like I said about the start box, the more that you're just sort of lingering doesn't always help her. She's better off like, just give her a job, give her something to focus on, and then she's a lot better, which is exactly what Cam had us do again in the warm-up for the show jumping. I feel like the show jumping went like a blur, in all honesty, but yeah, I did enjoy it. Seeing so many people around, like I don't think I've ever ridden in front of so many people, which is absolutely crazy. And then cross country, I can remember just enjoying literally every single stride around that course. It was so good. It was challenging. It got us to like really sink our teeth straight into it, and she was just epic. I was worried that she would be worried about the crowds, but they just seem to really focus in, and it keeps you, you know where you're going. It's all so well guided off and everything like that, and she was just so good, so good, and gave me the best ride. Found her fifth leg when she needed to, like at the water, even with a little slip, and then I was coming at it and I was thinking, this is not the way that we should be jumping this fence, but I was like, just keep straight, keep on this line, and she was like, yeah, that's fine mum, let's go. And then we really just went into cruise control on that final stretch home because we were quite up on time, but she was just absolutely mega, and the whole experience, the whole week at Badminton was just amazing, and I absolutely loved it, start to finish. It was brilliant. Having everybody there, seeing everybody, as I say, all the messages from you guys, and yeah, I just absolutely loved it, and I'm so thankful. Again, I feel like, yeah, to everybody for all of their help and support getting there and throughout the time of actually being there as well. Back home, refueled with a little bit of porridge, and warmed up again because it is rather chilly out there. And I just came up here and I've been looking at this calendar, and as I said, I feel like it's a little bit sentimental to me. So if you were here at the beginning of 2025, you'll know that Susie helped me sort of plot and plan every event that I could logistically get to. I obviously didn't go to every single thing that is on here, but it has got, I don't know, it's just got memories on there. Like I mentioned right at the beginning, Africa in February, or end of Jan, February, Badminton, Portugal, Turkey. It's now got midwife appointments and stuff like that on there as well. There's something about this calendar, which it sounds probably so stupid, but I feel quite sentimental about it. So my next event that we headed to isn't actually even on my calendar, and is actually really frustrating because I think deep down I knew that we shouldn't be doing anything when I was planning. We shouldn't. I purposely didn't plan anything for the rest of May because it was going to be such a busy time, travelling, training, all of that on the build up to Badminton. I then left this all blank, except for the Aston Champs that we had qualified for, which was at the end of May. And I thought, oh yeah, Badminton at the beginning, Aston at the end. And then I just got, I want to say like greedy, carried away, running on that high. The Badminton had obviously gone well, like whilst everything's going well, let's keep pushing. And that is exactly what I did. I pushed her one step too quick when she is more than capable. So where we went to was actually on, I think it was like the 24th, this weekend here. And we went to Mendip Plains, and I pushed to do a 105. Now 105 has featured on here, and it was going to be in the middle of June, which again, when I look at this, I'm like, why didn't I just stick to what I had originally sort of done and trusted my instincts in the first place? I shouldn't have done it. There wasn't actually a vlog because I'll be honest, I was so disappointed and annoyed about what had happened that it was best for me just to sort of erase it. I think I may still have a little bit of footage on my phone because Tina had sent it to me, and I think something had happened with the camera that didn't make it work or something. So I think it may be on my phone in all honesty, but everything that I had sort of filmed on the camera of like the build up and all of that, I just formatted it. I just didn't want to even look at it or replay it. I didn't want to dwell on it because I thought that isn't a true representation of where we're at or what we're doing. It was my mistake and I let Addie down there. So obviously a 105, you do a novice dressage test, a bigger show jumping, and your cross country is shared with the 100, but you've also got other fences that are that little bit bigger, but we didn't even make it onto the cross country course because we actually got eliminated for refusals in the show jumping. And again, it wasn't even refusals necessarily at the jumps, it was things around the jumps that then I just couldn't get her to the fences. But her brain was just a bit blown. The warm-up was super duper busy and I just didn't have her quite on my side. We weren't quite in on it, and yeah, it was a very, very uncharacteristic show jumping for her. We obviously know that Addie loves her jumping, so there was no vlog, and I didn't want to bring attention to it either. And that is where it's difficult when we vlog, and I know that I am very much for sharing all the highs, lows and all of that, but sharing about it at the time wasn't good for me and my mental head, if that makes sense. So I'm happy to talk about it now because I've had time to deal with it, process it, move on with it, obviously rectify what I'd done, learn from it, and I'm sharing it now because I'm not ashamed to share it, if that makes sense. But just at the time, I can very quickly get into my own head with things like that, and then I didn't want it to affect going on to more and more events. I needed to literally like erase it, wipe it, move on, carry on. Like, should have done it, never mind, I've done it, I've made the mistake, move on. We learn from our mistakes, and yeah, I should have trusted my gut, like I say, my natural instinct, that we kept that May completely clear and she had a little bit more downtime, chill time, and then we headed off this isn't eventing, but we went off to Aston. And I mean, we got round, we had an improvement on our round from Mendip, but still wasn't quite like in sync with each other as much as I would like. And then it makes, again, vlogging difficult because I didn't want to allude to what happened. I wanted to just clear it from my mind, move on, next event. But we just still had a few gremlins, unfortunately, from that. Then into June, again, my plans had all changed a little bit of what I wanted to do. And because I wanted to keep up with like getting out there and keeping that confidence, keep the confidence going of being like, no, we're all good. We actually headed to West Wilts. So it was all, again, in quite quick concession, which I wouldn't normally do. And especially, and yeah, when I think back, I'm like, wow, she did do an awful lot, bless her. But I've also got in the back of my mind, in all honesty, is that I knew that because Badminton had been, me and Chris were back trying to have a baby. And I was like, she may end up having the second half of the season off. So actually, yeah, just got to keep going a little bit. It sounds, yeah, you just can't help how your brain sort of works. And you don't know how you're going to feel when you are pregnant. And I was just conscious that knowing that it could change at any moment. I could be really poorly, or like morning sickness could really kick in and I might not be doing anything. So I was a bit like, we're well, we're good, let's try and keep this confidence up. So we went to West Wilts. I also know that that is a nice like profile venue and cross-country course, so thought that would do us good. And obviously she hadn't had a proper cross-country round since Badminton, and actually we did get it back together. We had a 32 dressage, which I don't remember anything sort of drastically going wrong in it or anything like that. I think it was just a standard test. She warmed up well. Then into the show jumping, I can remember thinking the show jumping was quite big and being a bit like, ooh. But she actually jumped her socks off. We just had one pole down, again in a related distance. And I think it was like fence 4. I think we were just maybe slightly off of it. It was an oxer and just didn't quite stretch out enough. So we had that one down, but only the 4 faults. And then she stormed around the cross country, which was a bit like a big sigh of relief. What had happened at Aston, obviously that's in a small closed-in arena, things come up on you really, really quickly. She just felt back more on like, well, yeah, this is back on her A game, basically. So was really pleased, as much as it was a lot of weekends, a lot of travelling and all of that. I was really pleased with how that went. We didn't do anything the next weekend. She had a bit of chill time, and then we went to our local Launceston, one of our favourites. Sadly is now no longer. The land has been sold, I believe. So we won't have Launceston in our calendars going forward. So I am very, very pleased that we went there. And we also had our first win at BE 100. My first ever win at BE 100, actually, on any horse. So as you can imagine, I was absolutely buzzing, especially with all the hiccups and everything that we had going on and all of that. It just felt like, oh, nice. We needed that little bit of reward and positivity. We had a double clear, so jumping on grass as well. Jumped clear around the show jumping, which was amazing. Stormed around the cross country. She was, again, her mega self. I feel like that's the only word that describes her on cross country, is mega. And we also had a sub 30 dressage, a 29. So yeah, all our stars aligned on that day. When you've had a few hiccups and a few bad runs and a few issues, it's nice that when it all then comes together, it just makes it feel rewarding, and you're just like, yeah, cool, we do know what we're doing, we're back on track. And thankfully it didn't take long to get back on track. That was also something, because I was so scared that I had ruined Addie's confidence. I could have caused I could have been having issues then throughout the rest of the season. But that really sort of, West Wilts and Launceston really helped put to bed those sort of things that had happened, and it was right to just sort of forget about it, move on and focus on what we're doing now and next, than dwelling on of that. And we had like some really good lessons and things like that in between with Alex and stuff as well. We'd gotten out show jumping, and yeah, all of it had all just helped come together. And then, as I say, stars aligned, all 3 phases went well on the day, and we came away with our first win. Back on the sofa, and I got honey and lemon, which seems to be my go-to at the minute because, whoa, almost wearing it, thanks Nala. In case you don't know, you are not allowed lem sips and things like that when pregnant. So I have been making my own, which has really been soothing my throat. I think I haven't spoken this much for probably 5 days. So my throat is just feeling a little bit delicate. But to be honest, we are coming to the end of my events. So yeah, I've made my own drink, like a lem sip, but without the drugs. And it does my throat absolute wonders. So our next event was at Dorny, which was actually just over a month after Launceston. So a lot happened in that month. I went on holiday to Portugal with my mum and dad, and Addie had a little holiday up with Alex. So we dropped her off, but on the morning of dropping her off, that was when I found out that I was pregnant. There was a lot of mixed emotions going on in that month, if I'm honest. Obviously, people may or may not know I was pregnant last year, and unfortunately lost it quite early on. I thankfully didn't feel sick, but the worry and anxiousness and the feelings of like, is it gonna stick? Is it gonna because miscarriage is so common, is one of the taboo subjects that people do not talk about, and I don't think talk about it enough. It is difficult to talk about. I understand that it's not a nice topic to sort of bring up into conversation, but if you have been through one, or you are going through one, or anyone you know is going through one, then it is horrible, and it is not a nice experience. But as I say, it is so much more common, and it's not until you start talking about it that you find out actually just how common it is. You feel really alone at the time, but actually then when you start, like I say, sharing about it, talking about it, you realise just how many people that miscarriage has affected. So I had all those emotions going through in my mind. I still felt confident and comfortable riding, like it is literally like a little bean, so it hasn't really changed sort of your appearance or anything like that, but it is all mentally. It is crazy how much it mentally and I think I suppose because of the miscarriage, but also people sort of being like, oh, should you, like people who obviously are close to us and everything like that, and being like, oh, you're going to carry on riding, and it's just those little seeds that go into your mind, and then you're thinking, oh, should I be doing this, should I not? So Mum and I went up to Dorny Park, somewhere where I really enjoyed riding around last year. Can't say I enjoyed riding around it as much this time round, not because of the venue or anything like that, but more, as I say, because of my mental state. And of course, again, being on the vlog, I couldn't say, it was way too early to be ever announcing sort of that I was pregnant. And there is part of me, I'm like, yes, I know that things can go wrong within those first 12 weeks, and it is more likely in those 12 weeks, but why do we wait until that to then sort of be like, oh, we can now share about it? Maybe if we didn't make it, that like after 3 months that you then open and share, that it wouldn't then feel so bad if we then did come out. But I mean, obviously I was 6 weeks by the time we got to Dorny, so very early stages, but was also the time that I had lost the baby before. I thought I'd got to like, I think 10 or 11 weeks, but actually it had sadly died at 6 weeks. So I guess that was probably in my head a lot. Our dressage was good. I was pleased with how our dressage went. We just had the one pole in the show jumping, but in some rounds where you're like, we didn't deserve that pole, we 100% did deserve this pole, and actually we deserved to have more. Whereas there's other earlier rounds in our season that I would have been like, no, I don't feel like we fully deserved that pole. She jumped really, really well. It was just an unfortunate pole. It was just one of those. We tapped it the wrong way and it's unfortunately come down. Whereas I rode like a sack of potatoes around that show jumping. I did not prep her, set her up, but she was so careful over so many of those fences. And I, in all honesty, think that she probably just lost a little bit of confidence in me then heading out onto the cross country. And I probably lost a little bit of confidence in my own self as well, to be honest. I didn't go out there attacking cross country like I would normally, and I do think, and I've thought this ever since I've been pregnant and everything, that Addie has been, she's got very good self-preservation anyway, but I do think that she has been more careful with me and has looked after me more, and I think that that was the very early stages of it, that I wasn't fully 100% committed. I think she was just looking out for me, like, if you're not fully committed, mum, I'm not going to go, which is not Addie on cross country whatsoever, but it really highlighted to me how much of a partnership we need to be to go around and do all of these things that we do. We did finish that cross country, but we did have 2 stops. I do blame I wouldn't blame Addie because she was still jumping everything and was no problem, but we just weren't together like we would normally be, and I can only blame myself for that and just not quite being there fully mentally. I think is probably fair to say. Back now down at the ponies, going to make the most of the beautiful weather and go for a little mooch, aren't we? I'm going to ride her and Susie is going to hand walk Sprite out for me. But we are now on to, I think it was only a week later, and we were heading to Bicton for the regional final. Now, after what happened at Dorny and obviously being quite in my own head, I was very much like, should I be withdrawing, saving the regional final for another time? But I thought, actually, no, again, don't dwell on what happened, just focus on moving forward. So we went for it. It was only Bicton as well, and we don't get to ride at Bicton very often other than the 3-day, although I do think they are going to be putting on more, which is fabulous news for us. Especially, as I mentioned, we will be losing Launceston. So we went up there, we had to do the championship test, 20 by 60, 2 judges. And actually, I was really pleased with her dressage. We had a 32.1, didn't we? And then show jumping, unfortunately, we just weren't quite, we were better, again, than what we were at Dorny. And I rode a lot better, but we did unfortunately have 2 poles, so that kind of completely knocked us out of sort of any running. 8 faults. Quite high, wasn't it, Ads? Yes. And then cross country, I suppose, actually helped us because that just released all of the pressure that was put on us. And the cross country was challenging. They had made the track different for the qualifying classes. It was at 100, so it was technical. There was lots and lots of combinations, and I think just having that pressure off and just thinking all I wanted to do was just get around safe and ride her how she deserves to be ridden after letting her down at Dorny. Then Bicton, I just rode a lot more like I would be, more attacking, all for the combinations, and she absolutely, we felt like we were back together again. So the 2025 season was a little bit like that, was a little bit like we had blips, and that is the true ups and downs of eventing, and I know we've said that many times over the years, but it really is. And she absolutely bombed around that cross country, and we just felt so much more back in sync, and regardless of sort of the result or anything like qualifying for badminton or anything like that, I was just so happy. I just felt like, oh, we were back on track again. The ground was good up at Bicton. They had done such a fantastic job, and yeah, you were just absolutely mega through all of the challenging combinations and all of that. She just took it all on so well. Now, as obviously I knew at this time that I was pregnant, and in my head I was like, oh, I could still make it to Badminton, like I should try and qualify. I still had a regional final at 90 and I didn't want to waste it. But now when I look back and now when I think, like, look back and look forward, I don't, even if they had qualified, I really, really, really don't think that I would be riding there. Like, the baby could be 4 weeks old or could be even less than that, depending on how late I am compared to my due date and things like that. But I actually think that having the concentration on potentially qualifying for Badminton is what got me through that first trimester. So it was focusing on her, focusing on training, focusing on the sort of the qualifications and all of that just helped me get through the first trimester. Mum came out, we had a little chat, but we don't tacked up. As I was saying, I just felt that actually at this time of the eventing season, I think my focus, just to keep my brain distracted from what else was going on in life, I threw all into eventing and then thinking about qualifying for Badminton at 90, because to be honest, I knew I had that 90 regional final, but I wasn't overly fussed about using it. I wanted to get back, if I was going to get back there, I wanted to get back there at 100 or step up to sort of 105. Obviously, with what had happened earlier in the year, I was not in a position to do that, and especially not now, finding out that I was pregnant either. So I kind of readjusted my focus and thought we'll focus on maybe trying to qualify for Badminton 90. And also I did think if there was any chance that I could come out this year, this year, that sounds weird to say already, it's only the first, that I would be able to perhaps get her ready for the 90 at Badminton, whereas actually coming out and doing 100 at Badminton. And I am a firm believer everything all happens for a reason. I really, really, really am. So we obviously, so Bicton, we didn't qualify, but actually, like I say, believer in that things happen for a reason, and I'm glad that we didn't, because I would not want that pressure on me now of thinking, oh my goodness, we've qualified, I've got to have a baby, and then I've got to get to doing Badminton 100. Like, yeah, I don't. Now I look back and I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. But then again, you never know whether the pregnancy was going to carry on at that point either. So it's so many different emotions and thoughts that you have going through your head. And yeah, that's just a little insight into Emily's brain and what was going on at that time. We did then enter Solihull, and I think again I was just sort of, I've only got a handful of events left, so let's get out and get eventing as much as we can, because in a minute I'm not going to be able to. But the ground was just, we had it so hot. It was going to be an awful lot of travelling. It was a lot further than what I would normally travel for a single event, and I decided to withdraw. I think it was Tina was entered, and I thought, oh, the weekend would be fun, like us going up and we'll go eventing together. And I think she withdrew as well for, I can't remember what the reasoning was there, but actually it was a lot easier just to say no, let's not risk it with the ground, the travelling, the heat, all of that. And I think, like I say, I was ultimately just doing it because I just wanted to get eventing whilst I still could. I know you need to put your bridle on and then we're going to go. We started the day with the ponies and now we're going to end with the ponies. They've just finished their dinner. Beds are all done, haylage all done. Sprite's like, yeah, I've had my walk, I've had my food. The lip is starting to go, bless her. Anyway, so it was then actually on to Chard, and I decided to step down to 90 level for multiple reasons that I've kind of already explained. Being pregnant, then thinking about potentially trying to qualify for Badminton at 90. I was like, well, I don't need to go out and do another 100. So what is the point of that sort of extra pressure, extra risk and all of that? And with all sort of like the little hiccups that we had, she'd had a really good run at Bicton. So I wanted just to like solidify that almost and just bring it down and hopefully for her to find it nice and easy. And it was a good day. Despite the travel up, we obviously, if you remember back and did watch the vlog, my wheel tyre came off and split off the whole side of my trailer. So it was a little bit of a stressful journey to get up there, but thankfully I had Chris with me, so he sorted it all out. He was very, very good. Like I say, just very relieved to have him with me doing it on the side of the A30. And then we had a 32 dressage, 1 pole in the show jumping, which was unlucky. She was jumping really, really nicely. And then a really nice, confident, comfortable clear around the cross country. Our dressage, as much as like 32 sounds sort of in relation to all of our other scores throughout the season, actually it wasn't probably our best test. I think I had actually forgotten, with everything going on with the trailer, I forgot to put spurs on. And we always find, it's actually on a surface up there, but I always find that you're a little bit more wired and spooky around the outside of those arenas. Don't know why, but just is. And it was a bit, I think it was windy and wet as well, and they've got flags around so you can hear all the ding 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 on the flags. But yeah, overall, like I said, the aim of the day was just to do another run, get another run under our belt, step back down to 90, and it ticked all of those boxes. It was exactly what we needed. We started with you, so shall we end with you as well? Because to be honest, guys, Chard was actually our last ridden event, basically. We had entered the regional final at Chillington, and we were all loaded up, packed up, ready to go, weren't we? You were literally out in the field just for the morning. I'd gone home and worked, and then we were going to be setting off on our merry way. But unfortunately, I brought Addie in, or I just looked at Addie in the field, to be honest, and she took a couple of steps towards me, and I thought, she is not right. So that was the start of a very lengthy and costly foot abscess. What are you doing? Is that a nice comfy place to rest? I look awful, but okay. All right. I haven't got anything, I'm afraid. You had your last of your carrots in your dinner. It was really hard because I think when I vlogged and obviously said that I wasn't going, I was obviously going to show that I was disappointed and I was more concerned about Addie, but I was also so gutted because that was going to be my final event of 2025. So I feel like I had put, again, so much pressure onto that weekend and thought, yeah, let's just go and enjoy our final event. Whatever happens, happens. But it would be nice just to have that one more sort of ticked off and done. And it kind of got stolen away from us, didn't it? And yeah, I was absolutely gutted. As I say, and I've mentioned, I don't actually think I want to be qualified for badminton, in all honesty. I don't want to have that pressure now going into this year. But back then it was sort of all I could focus on to keep my mind busy and not worrying about everything else that was going on. I had just another worry to go on to, but thankfully with all the vets, MRI, all of that, we did get to the bottom of it and you came out all well. But it was also like for her to have, I think it was like 5 weeks in the end to have off. And I was like, oh, this is 5 weeks that I am still fully comfortable and able to ride at the moment, and I was like, I'm missing out on it. And don't get me wrong, I know that I will obviously get back in the saddle and I will get eventing again this year, 100%, but it was just almost having that taken, stolen from me, and me not making that decision. It was even harder than just an injury, if that makes sense. But that is our eventing season of 2025. As you can see from all the different events that I've gone through, there were so many ups and downs and so many highs, so many positives, but there was also our not so good days where we made mistakes, but we learned lots along the way. And I really feel like we did learn a lot this year and things that I can take into future seasons. But as I said right at the beginning of this video, I am just so grateful to her that she made my dreams come true at the very beginning of the year. That was when it really mattered, in all honesty, of the year. Those pre-badminton runs and badminton, and we got to do them. So we've been there, I completed it, that's what I wanted, and that is my biggest highlight, of course, of 2025. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm sorry, I feel like I tried to keep it like quite concise for every event, but maybe not, but I hope you've enjoyed watching back, hearing my thoughts and sort of actually things that I wouldn't have been able to say at the time, and being open now and being able to tell you what was sort of going on and going through my mind at the time. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed it. Hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful 2026. However you have got your goals planned and whatever is in store for you, I hope it is a very good year for you. Do not forget that if you want to get your box for Green Chef, then use my code EMD40, which will get you 40% off your first box, followed by 25% off your next 4 boxes. So lots of savings, as always, to be had, and maybe that will be helping go towards some of your goals if you're wanting to look after your health a little bit more. And as I mentioned when I was showing you the lovely Green Chef food, what is your goals? Whether that's personal, horsey, or maybe you've decided not to make any New Year's resolutions, but is there a reason behind that? I'd love to know that too. Do drop that down in the comment section down below. I really would enjoy reading them. I'll be honest, as I said, even as this video's gone on, I haven't really got any goals at the moment. It's just to get this baby out of B safely, which I think is quite a good goal to have for 2026. So we'll start with that. But until next time, we'll see you all very, very soon.